What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? We already got some people in here. How y'all doing? Happy Wednesday and happy holidays. Hopefully you're enjoying, or maybe you're at work. It's up to you. Shout out to Robert. He's already in the chat. He came in early. He hit us with the Santa emoji. And shout out to the lights. We got the light system. I like the look. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what colors. We'll probably switch after this week. The colors are gonna change. But for Christmas and all that, we're in the holiday spirit. I was gonna wear a Santa hat one of these days, but I don't. I decided not to go with it. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to you if you're watching this on the replay. Shout out to the replay people. If you're watching this on replay, comment replay people with the fist up. Because shout out to you guys for watching this. I know not everybody can be here when I go live. So yeah. And what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about why you're not getting interviews for your first iOS dev job. Because I've been hearing a lot of aspiring devs talk about that. So we're going to be diving into it here in a second. And Robert said, wear an ugly sweater. I do actually. Should I show? I have one right next to me. That's hilarious. But maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last live stream of the year and for a little bit. So that should maybe for that one, tune in to see. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. So why are you not getting interviews for your first iOS dev job? And I've been thinking about this myself, right? I was like, why aren't people getting it? And the first thing that came into my mind, and this is something that this is the first thing that really came to mind, is you should really take off the open for work banner on your profile, because you look thirsty, bro. You look desperate. You look a little thirsty. And I mean, I know it's important. I know you need a job, you pay bills and all that. But the open for work banner, it kind of screams, I need a job, right? And that's not really the energy you want to put out when you want to land a job. You can still say that you're open for work on your LinkedIn profile, right? But having that open to work banner, it's I feel like it's not a good look. It's like, think about it like this. Like, let's say you were on the dating scene, right? And you were wearing a shirt saying, I'm single and ready to date. That's kind of how you look. It's kind of how you look, right? So yeah, I would definitely recommend you guys take that off. It will help you attract like the right opportunities. And of course, I mean, you'll find cases where you have it on and it works, but that's just something that I've noticed. And even when I see people that open work, I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. Here's somebody they thirsty. But all right, now let's enough of that. We can go into like more specific and more specific things, such as your portfolio and your LinkedIn, because at the end of the day, how the process sort of works is you apply and you probably will get filtered. Your resume will get filtered. So if your resume gets filtered, then the recruiter will take a look at your profile, and that will be your resume, your portfolio, and probably your LinkedIn. And based off of that, they will see, is this the right fit? Yes or no? So that gives you 3 things to sort out to get you an actual interview. The first will be the resume, and that's something where you should, and it'll be tough if you're applying to 100 jobs, but you should really cater your resume to the job you're applying. And with that in mind, you should really go for a more specific approach in terms of the jobs you apply for than just a wide reach, right? Because you can really fine tune your resume to speak to the job that you're applying for and make you a more appealing candidate. And then from there is your portfolio and your LinkedIn. And your LinkedIn really will speak a lot. Like if your LinkedIn, you have no work experience, there's nothing there, then it's just going to be like a quick pass. They're not like pretty much why you're not getting interviewed. um, if you don't have the right skills, if you don't have like at least some experience, maybe you could put some of the, let's say you built an app and you have it on the app store, you could put that under your experience. Maybe you spent the last 3 months working on that. That's something that you can do. And also, in terms of your portfolio, you have to make sure you have like a really solid portfolio project on there, and some projects to follow that up, right? Because it's really good to have a big portfolio project, but if you only have one, it's like, is that it? Is that it? And then the other things that happen is, so when they're looking at your application, right, they're gonna look you up, and if you don't really pop up and it's not appealing like your LinkedIn, they're not really gonna call you back. And that's if you go to the traditional way of applying and getting a job, or trying to get a job, trying to get an interview first, and then trying to get a job. The way that's worked best, and you hear this often, is like the networking side of things, where you reach out to people in the community, and you don't just like go messaging everybody in the community. Hi, do you have a job? Hi, do you know where to get a job? Like, you actually connect with them, talk with them, and maybe along the line, somewhere in the conversation, you're like, oh yeah, I'm on the job search, I'm on the job hunt, I'm trying to get my first job as iOS developer. Maybe you ask for some advice, because I know a lot of us, we went through something similar, because nobody was an iOS developer before they got their first job, right? Like, you're not just born an iOS developer. So you can always ask for advice, and that's a good way to bring it up in a conversation. It's like, oh, but don't don't give them a whole essay. Just be a very quick, like, oh, I'm trying to become a developer, or something like that. Something, a very brief summary of your story. And do you have any advice? That might work really well. And I know people in the community, they're really helpful. Just don't send people an essay, please. I don't think anybody wants to read your life story in an essay. They might just ignore the message. And also, the iOS Dev Happy Hours too is a really good place to meet people, because there you actually have like it's not face to face, but it's like online, like a virtual face to face meetup, and you can just talk to people and meet devs from around the world. Um, the other thing to keep in mind is the way the application process work, right? Is you when you have to make yourself stand out amongst the noise, because nowadays there's literally like hundreds of people applying for those positions, and you have to have something that will make you stand out. And that's why people prefer the networking approach, because it's a lot easier to stand out if somebody refers you, or if somebody at the company tells you to apply, because they can actually take a look at your resume and actually at least give you an interview, right? Because otherwise you have to deal with the whole filtering mechanism, which I'm not even sure what company. It depends on the company, but usually they're using like AI stuff to filter resumes, and you have to get through that, and also get through, like, the recruiter has to vet you and see if maybe you'd be a good fit. So that's what you're fighting against, and your options are I guess you have two routes to work on making yourself as much of an appealing candidate. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's two routes, to be honest, but because it's kind of just one route. But you have a lot of things you can do within that route, right? You can try to make yourself as appealing of a candidate through your portfolio, your resume, your LinkedIn, and at the same time, you can network to potentially land or just hear about opportunities, right? Because maybe somebody is at a company who they're about to hire for some roles, they haven't announced it yet, or maybe they are hiring, and they just haven't found the right fit, right? Because you put a job post and you get like 500 applicants. It's like you have to pick one. And when it comes to junior the positions, from what I've seen and from what I hear, it's like 50-50 when people hire a junior. Like sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You never really know what you're gonna get. So that's another thing that makes people really cautious. All right, let's answer some questions. How do you answer year gap on interview? It depends on what the gap was and what it was for. Um, to be honest, yeah, it really depends on what the gap was for. Like it's family reason, personal reason. Maybe you went out and traveled for a year. You can even talk about that. Again, I guess, or maybe it was health issues. One thing you can also do is just, I mean, you could do this. It really depends on if you're this type of person where you can just cover up your gap with some fake experience. I don't recommend that though, but I've seen some people do that. You can get the same benefits of open work without vendor. Yeah, that's true. That's back to the open for work thing. You can just set your thing privately to open to work, and recruiters will reach out. Oh, look at Santalia. I hope I said that right. She said it to, yeah, you said it only for recruiters, and you're able to see that. What are some red flags? Red flags for what? For jobs or for when you're looking to hire people or interview people? Should you respond to every recruiter that messages you on LinkedIn? Nope. Well, I'm sorry. I was thinking about myself. As an aspiring iOS developer, you're trying to get first role. Yes, you should do that. you should you should be open to every opportunity. At least just hear them out. You never know where it'll go. And I'm pretty sure that if anybody like any person trying to get their first job was trying to get was reached out by a recruiter, they would respond. All right, and one thing to always or to also make sure is that you're or one thing we haven't talked about is the open source contributions. That's also something that looks really good on your resume and your portfolio. And there's really some companies that will kind of it'll make you stand out. I know for companies like maybe like Superbase, they're really big on open source. And there was another one I saw that they're really big on open source. But there's a few companies out here, I'd say more than a few, that are really big on the open source. So if you have some open source contributions or a big what do you call it, like portfolio or history of open source contributions, it will look very good. And I've seen cases where people get hired by some companies that they do open source work for. We have Jordan in the chat. What does it say? They're asking to see that if hmm, my bad, I'm just reading the chat. And the other thing you need to make sure, well, this goes beyond getting the interview, because once you get the interview, that's like the first hurdle. The second hurdle is going to be like your knowledge and like your interview prep in terms of technical and behavioral. And when I say behavior, I mean like the soft skills as well, because you need that to actually do well in your technical, right? Because if you can't communicate, then it's gonna be pretty tough. And because you got to think about this, the person interviewing you is also thinking, would this be a good fit in our company? Would I like to work with this person? And of course, like if if it's a technical one, then like, do they know the concepts? Do they actually know what the heck they're talking about? But you can know everything, but if you can't communicate it well, or if they if they just don't like you, then you're probably gonna get a no. But that's to be honest, and that's something for another video because we're talking about getting the interviewer first here, right? But that's just something to keep in mind. And one thing we haven't covered when it comes to getting the first interview is actually sharing some work and on the internet, like on LinkedIn or on Twitter, just sharing what you're doing and what you're learning. That can be very helpful because I've seen people get jobs just like that. Like maybe they live in a certain region where there's not that many iOS developers. They're posting out content, and then a recruiter who's looking for one say, "Oh, we have one right here," and then they end up getting a job. So that's something to potentially try. And you, for that, I would say think of what was best for you. Maybe you written form, maybe you like design, maybe you like video. So yeah, you can do that and try to share interesting and things you've learned along the way. All right, let's see. Shout out to Jordan in the chat. Red flags for jobs. It's hard when you. It's hard to see a red flag based on just the description alone. The interview process will tell you a lot, though. Like, if you have the interview with no camera on, then it's probably not a very warm or like, yeah, I would say it's probably not a very warm, or at least the people who work there aren't like, they don't try to like be close. Let's say they don't have a camera on during the interview. Because I've been to interviews where that was the case. I was like, oh wow. Yeah, you should definitely keep your resume to one page. Definitely keep it at one page, especially because sometimes they print this and yeah, just one page, no more. You know, one page. Make sure that it's clean and easy to read. And yeah, and it showcases your skills as a developer. And for your first job, you probably won't have experience, right? It's your first job, so you should have your projects first, then maybe your work experience, and then your education. If you're a fresh like graduate, maybe you could actually, yeah, I think that's the best. And then somewhere you should have skills. And what the skills would be really good for is helping you filter through the little AI process they use nowadays. Shout out, what's up, Anthony? How's it going? Hey, Leslie. How long have I been into programming? That's a good question. So I've been into programming for a while, but what happened is, and this relates to my story and getting into iOS development, is I would like code for a little bit, like a few months, and then I just stop until 2020. Yeah, until like 2020, 2021, when I kind of just put my head down and decided, oh, this is something I wanted to do. This is a good comment by Jordan. I think from what in tech, usually just one page resume, but I have seen, yeah, in some industries they have more than one. But to be honest, you just need one page. One page. Or do you guys have any other questions? So the key takeaway I want you guys is take off the open to work banner on your profile because it's making you look thirsty. So please take it off. And of course, work on your resume, your portfolio. Make sure your stuff is in order and actually looks good, right? That is true. I've seen people do that, and with that, you have to be careful. It could bite you in the butt. And plus, at the end of the day, they'll know if you know your stuff or if you don't know your stuff. Because with like technical concepts, you can just ask, and if you don't know what you're talking about, it's pretty clear. Shout out to everybody. We have 8 people in here. I believe on LinkedIn and YouTube. So shout out to everybody who's watching. The YouTube chat is very active. No, not that much from LinkedIn. All right. Did anybody have any more questions? Maybe you're trying to get your first job and you're struggling to get interviews. Yeah, that's true. Hey Leslie, how's it going? But all right, I think nobody else has any more questions. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna be back again live tomorrow at 12, same time. What are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow we are talking about, what are we covering tomorrow? I don't remember. Ah, the live stream tomorrow. We are gonna be back. I don't. Let me see. I'm sorry, I forgot what the live stream title was for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna be covering the mistake that cost me a job at big tech, because in my journey to becoming an iOS developer, I had a chance to land a job at Amazon, and I fumbled the bag. So if you want to hear that story, tune in tomorrow at 12. You should, for your first job, app on the App Store, recommend 100%. App on the App Store. And the more complex the app, the better, but don't try to build a Snapchat or something crazy. Yes, I think so, yeah. Does your LinkedIn profile matter more than your resume? Yeah. To be honest, yeah. The resume, I feel like now it's just for filtering you in the initial screening, because then the recruiter automatically goes to LinkedIn. That's where they live. Literally where they live. They live on LinkedIn, so they go there, and that's where you apply for jobs, and that's literally where everything happens. That's why people always emphasize LinkedIn. All right, guys. But we're about to wrap up the stream. If you guys are interested in booking a coaching session, go to breakintoios.com and subscribe to the newsletter. And from there, you'll be redirected to a page where you can book a one-on-one coaching session. It's totally free. I just put the link down in the description in case you guys are interested. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace.